I want to welcome all of you guys who decided to attend today. I'm glad that you guys showed up. Just like we were talking about before, right? During these months, you're either going to have the best months you've ever had in real estate, or you're going to struggle, right? You made the right decision by showing up today. So I'm excited to have you here. I want to give a couple of quick shout outs to some people who have been kicking some ass. Kim, who is not on here today, got 4 under contract just here recently. I think it was in the month of, within 15 days in the month of November, which is great. Gail Song is 1 deal away that closes on the 12th from being an Icon agent. That means she gets her entire cap back. Yes, all that money that you paid in, you can now get back, which is great. Also, Todd Talley. Hey, Todd, you starting to crush it now? You feeling better?
Yes, I am. It's easy day.
Just joined us, already taking listings. You got 2 on the market already, right? Month of November.
Yep.
That's fantastic, man. We're proud of you. I brought MK on here really quickly to give us an update on what's going on in the market. Obviously, with everything changing, I know MK rates have kind of gone up and down and up and down, right? Looking like an EKG machine. But if you can just give us an update on what's going on in the market, because it correlates with what we're talking about today, mainly buyers and getting them motivated to go out there and buy. MK?
Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is, you were just talking about kind of that sleep or that lull where a lot of people, normally you have, I've seen upwards of 40, 50 people on this call plus, and then it went down to 16. Now we got some more people jumping on right now, but it's like this holiday season, right? After Thanksgiving, everybody's like fat and happy is what we called it. They're trying to like take their foot off the gas pedal. But what we've seen in this market, in this trend, interest rates went up, and at one point they were in the mid 8s. Okay, we locked in a few of those, closed on those, and we talked about it last time we were together that we're trying to find any and all ways to give people a reason to buy right now. So one thing that we came up with is, as soon as these rates come down, we're going to refinance and waive all lender fees. Right? That's a huge advantage. So again, put that in your hip pocket. You're talking to somebody like, yeah, well, I don't want to wait and have to refinance because it costs money. Well, actually, once we close, we're actually going to waive these lender fees on a refinance. Okay. So that's one thing that we're talking about. Now we had these rates at 8.5%. Now we're back down to about 6.25. We've just been locking a few of them at, right? That's a huge swing when we talk about payments. Okay. Now payments, whenever we're going through these specific scenarios, someone has a question. Amanda, I'll pick on you for a second, but you have a question. You just say, hey, MK, what if the rates come down? What does that mean to my payment, right? Or, MK, what happens if I offer a little bit less on my house, right? So am I able to share my screen, Cooley?
Yeah, I can make it.
Yep.
Can you have that on there? So one thing that I wanted to bring in was a little bit of value as far as what can you guys have to be able to show clients when they have these specific questions, right? So I'm going to share my screen here just so you guys can see this. Just give me a thumbs up when you can see it. Thumbs up.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how interest rates affect your monthly payment. So you're sitting there with the buyer right now. Let's just say, I'm sorry, I'm going to scroll this down. It's going to trip out for a second. There you go. So let's just say a buyer's they're buying at 450,000. Okay. Let's just say they're at 450,000 and the rate's 7.5%. They say, okay, what happens if the rate comes down a little bit, goes down to 6.5%, right? You say almost $300 a month you're going to save there by just the interest rate being saved while you're when you refinance or able to just lower the payment down that way, right? Or let's just say we take $50,000 off a price, and let's say Todd is able to negotiate for, instead of 450, we're going to buy at 400,000. You'll see the difference in payment there as well, right? Almost $300. So here's something you can sit down and give to a buyer. They can have tangible something to just play around with and understand. And this specific one right now I made for Brittany. So Brittany's out there, she's able to show her clients some of these examples. But this is how we want to co-brand. We want to get out there. We want to give people reasons to buy. This is how we do it, right? So people are scared about interest rate. But Todd, when people say that they're afraid of interest rate, what is their real objection?
Payment
for sure.
The monthly payment.
Monthly payment. right? So we talked about a couple things. So we talked about, okay, interest rate, we can help with that. So, people are saying the interest rates are high. It's not necessarily the interest rate, it's what's the payment on that. So then we start talking about the buy down, right? So I talked a little bit to James about this too. We had a conversation about this, but right now we do so much down payment assistance with the state of Washington. We're the only lending team that can do a 2-1 buy down with down payment assistance. Okay, so I want to reiterate that. We can do a 2-1 buy down with down payment assistance. So if we're going FHA and let's just say, James, you out there and you negotiate closing costs as well as a 2-1 buy down, you can have a buyer come in with $0 out of their pocket. Not only do you have $0 out of their pocket, the down payments with down payment assistance, the seller is paying your closing costs and buy down, but we're talking about lowering their normal payment upwards to $300 to $500 a month by just using the buy down. So now you guys have the tools when somebody's talking to you about, hey, I don't want to buy right now because of the interest rates. We have tools in our belt right now that we can bang. We can talk about it, right? So, okay, so what is your rent? How much is your rent payment right now? So they say $3,000 a month. Perfect. 100% of that rent is going where? Buying the seller's mortgage down, right? Now, instead of $3,000 a month, so if I can get you $3,000, let's just say to $3,500 a month, but you can use that payment to pay your own mortgage, and you have a house that is your own, so you don't have to ask for permission to change the paint colors, right? This is your property. Would that make sense for you, right? Chad, how would you phrase that right there?
Say that again, please.
How would you phrase that? So if you have a renter that's renting for $3,000 a month and they're worried about interest rates right now, how would you reiterate that to them, or how would you overcome an objection?
If their payment was $3,000 a month
and they're renting for $3,000 a month and they're worried about interest rates, so they don't want to buy.
I mean, it comes down to you're paying that anyway, right? And what is the point of home ownership? Is to level up your financial situation. You're either going to pay that money to your landlord, who's going to pay their mortgage, or you're going to pay your own mortgage, right? And so you've got to make that choice. And what I like to do in any situation, MK, is make sure that I understand exactly what their motivation in life is. Absolutely. and correlate the two, right? Yep. How is paying $3,000 a month to your landlord so that they can pay your mortgage helping you get to X, Y, and Z, right? Yep. And I think that's the most important thing.
How many people on this call talk about the goals of the house by raising a hand? Like their actual goal, like are you looking, is this a move up house? Is it a forever home?
Always.
Who's on there right now? Is that
definitely. Robin? Yeah, that's Robin. Always. I always do.
Okay, Robin. So give me a couple of scenarios. So let's just say it's a first time home buyer. Okay. What are a couple of questions that you're asking for as you're qualifying them?
So typically I ask them, is this going to be your forever home? Or I'll ask them, because I was at that meeting the other day with everyone, I've been using a lot of your information regarding the 2-1 buy down, and also looking at possibly refinancing later. And also I typically ask if they need down payment assistance, if they're a new homeowner, if the parents are donating, and what their long-term goals are.
Yep,
typically.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And there's
Absolutely.
like 10 other questions.
Well, how many people are buying their forever home for their first home? How many?
Not many
Never.
people.
Not
Never.
many, right?
Not many at all.
Not many at all. But the biggest thing that we need to understand is, as an educator, you don't know what you don't know, right? As a consumer, this is the scariest purchase of their life. So all we're doing is getting them in the position to where they know enough to be dangerous, right? So we want to make them know, like, so if I'm asking qualifying questions, let's talk about, okay, so, we're talking about employment. Oh, perfect. Where do you work? Right? So they're like, oh, actually, I just started a job. It's my very first job ever. And I work part-time, right? So now we understand, okay, so they don't have a full-time job. Does that mean they can't buy? Right? A lot of people, first qualifying question they ask, hey, listen, you don't have a job right now, you can't buy. But are we going further than that? Because a lot of people might say, oh, do you have somebody else that can co-sign for you? What's another reason why? What's another way that somebody else can buy? Co-signer, what else? Co-signer's huge.
Cash. I mean, if they have cash,
Down payment assistance.
just kidding.
Cash, right?
Owner finance.
Home Partners. Home Partners is a great program. I bet you most people on this call have never closed one, but it's a great takeaway, right? You're just
Yeah.
presenting it and then you can
Absolutely.
position it as something else, right? So it's a great progressor, I would say, because it keeps them in that ether, it keeps them in that buying mood. But what I want you guys to realize is we're qualifying every question that we're asking, every part of the conversation, we're directing traffic, okay? So if somebody tells me, hey, listen, my credit score is a little bit low right now, and I don't want to buy. So these are defensive questions that are pushing me away, and they're just objections, right? That they're giving to me. So all I need to know is, oh, you have bad credit. What is your credit score? Do you know? And most people don't even know what their actual credit score is, right? So a lot of times we might pull it and let's just say it's a 610, okay? We can still buy a house, right? So now they're saying, okay, I'm a 610, but I don't have any down payment. Okay, but did you know that you can get a gift from a family member, right? We talked about gift, right? So grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, brother, cousins, anybody like that, any family member can gift you money, okay? One big thing I think a lot of people don't know, has anybody heard of gift of equity? Has anybody heard of that? Gift of equity, okay?
Yes,
This is a big thing that most people don't think about. But if I have a family member that, let's just say that they own a house outright, okay? And they want to sell me the house. The house is worth 500,000, but the family member doesn't own anything on it. They can gift me a percent or a certain amount of equity, and that will be like my down payment. It is just fluff and air money, okay? So if they sell it to me, it's worth 500. They sell it to me for 400 and they gift me $100,000 of equity. It's just air, but that money will help qualify. So you don't have to bring any money to the table. So your buyer can bring $0 down, right? They can get rid of PMI. They can get rid of mortgage insurance because they're getting gifted equity for their 20% down, and they can get into that house with nothing out of their pocket. Did anybody know you can do that?
We gotta
Right?
talk more about that.
So these are just tools I want you to have. So if someone says, hey, my family member wants to sell me this house, we need to stop. We need to ask qualifying questions on that. Okay. Sorry, I got off on a tangent. I'm just trying to give you guys some bullets. Okay.
I love that. I love that so much. And one of the most powerful questions that I think that you can ask is, why do you want to own a home rather than rent? Right? Because then you get a good idea of where their train of thought is. And you can say all of the benefits, you know, to owning a house rather than renting all you want. But if you don't hit that sweet spot, which is what's important to them, which is, you know, where their train of thought is, then it gets difficult. Like another thing is that we practice on the Breakfast Club every morning is not letting people be vague. You know, MK just made a great point when he asked that follow-up question. Do you even know what your credit score is, right? I have bad credit. Well, what do you mean by bad credit? What does that look like? Right? Do you know what you qualify with these scores? You know, asking those follow-up questions is important. Your ability to solve problems is going to dictate the amount of money that you make in this business, right? In order to solve problems, you've got to what? You got to ask questions, right? Question is, do you know what questions you should be asking, right? And if you don't know what questions you should be asking, number one, you should be practicing. But number two, you should make it your goal to fully understand their situation, right? And so when somebody says something to you, you should always have a follow-up question, even if you have to think about it for a second. Get people to be more specific. And if you listen close enough and you ask the right questions, people will tell you exactly how to help them move forward, if that makes sense.
And it's all about education. I would say most people don't think that they can buy. Okay.
Yeah.
Most people don't think they can buy. Now, the past 2 to 3 years have been so hard on first-time home buyers. I want you guys to understand this right now. While people are taking their foot off the gas, this is an excellent time for first-time home buyers to go steal something. Not necessarily steal something, but get into a home with all of their closing costs paid for and a buy down. This is something that hasn't happened in years and actually hasn't happened, right? So you can get to a point where you can go in, right? You can structure a loan to where the seller's still getting what they need to net, but your buyer's still winning too. So if it comes down to a point where it's a house that's maybe a little bit more desirable, you can still structure the loan where you're offering over asking, right? And then asking for that credit back, okay? We just need to figure out how to get creative. And that's all we're doing is being the professionals in here and getting creative.
How many of you guys know everybody's financing options right now? All of their options right now. How many of you guys are 100% confident that I know all of their options? Anybody?
Not at all. No.
I know all of them.
Okay, if you don't know the options, guys, this is something that you need to get involved with right now. Also, if you don't know the options, how are you going to sell the options? Now, that's where I want to that's what I want to bring up next. how many of you guys, Todd, you said that you know options. How many of you guys are comfortable selling those options to people?
Of the ones that I know.
Okay, and that's where we've got to leverage our partners a little bit more. I'm sure, MK, that you know how to sell people their options because you do it every day. And so if you guys aren't 100% confident in selling people's options, how many of you guys right now are setting your calls up or setting your buyers up to talk to a lender who can actually walk them through that process, who can actually sell them exactly what they're looking to get? How many of you guys do that now? Because you've got to trust your lenders. You've got to have lenders that are not only knowledgeable, but know how to move clients forward, know how to sell clients, know how to sell clients their options, know how to ask the right questions and provide the right solution. So how many of you guys honestly do you feel like are funneling your buyers through your lender to have those kind of conversations? Anybody need to get better at that? Raise your voices. I can't see hands.
I
Yeah,
need, I
I've
need
had
to get
some
better.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
People
usually
of
do
that
it better.
experience
Be
recently.
Try it.
MK, are you working with agents on that scale right now where you're actually saying, hey, send me your buyers, let me have those conversations with them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it goes both ways. So if Amanda is working with a buyer and they're talking about contract negotiations, something to do with the house or anything like that, I'm directing that straight back to Amanda because she's the professional in that role. Now we're talking about dollars, we're talking about structuring a loan, that's me. And it goes back and forth because I want to make sure there's no miscommunication on that. And I know my strength is getting getting the deal finalized, closed, in finance. I know Amanda, when she's going to go through and talk about a contract or what's going on, what you can and can't do, she's the professional in that. So I'm going to edify her with whatever she's doing, right? And vice versa.
Exactly.
Yeah, good. So today, guys, what we want to do is we want to give you some tactical things that you can actually go out there and leverage with your clients now, specifically with your buyers. Now, there were a lot of buyers.
One to return to the main menu and pay on a different account.
Pay on a different account. Don't use your own. We had a big problem a year ago, meaning there were tons of buyers out there, not a lot of listings, right? Those buyers didn't go away. They're still there. You know, in fact, one of your biggest problems that you had with buyers were they were frustrated, right? They weren't able to get into homes, and a lot of those guys just gave up. So we need to start having those conversations now, right? Especially around this time when there's a huge advantage to get them into a home right now. Michelle and I talked to a lot of top producers across all marketplaces, and we've been kind of brainstorming some things that other people are doing to get their buyers motivated. So what do you guys think the biggest objections are right now with your buyers?
Bad interest rates and not anything to buy.
Bad interest rates, not anything to buy. That's not really a problem now for most people, right? There's plenty of things to buy, but it's kind of like a qualification issue, right? They don't think that they qualify for the house that they want. Now, hang on, I got to turn off my camera if you guys don't mind.
You muted yourself.
We don't hear you.
I muted myself. All right. So guys, we need to help people readjust their way of thinking, don't you think? Like, what are the long-term benefits? These are things that MK was talking about before. The way that houses have been appreciating this 8 to 15% a year, would you guys say that's normal or abnormal?
Definitely.
Abnormal.
Abnormal.
It's abnormal, right? So everything that we've been going through has been pretty abnormal. So we need to be that voice of normalcy to our clients again. You know what I mean? We need to get these guys off the fence. Now, rates are too high. Market's going to crash. I'm going to wait until next year. I'm going to wait until the market gets better. All of these things are what you're going to be hearing from now until who knows when the market gets better. Who knows if we're ever going to get back to a market where they're at 2 or 3%. But what we do know is that real estate's pretty safe, right? Say the market does crash tomorrow, that's okay because we know that it's going to come back historically, right? So even if houses went down 10% in value, they are going to come back up, and it's still the safest bet that you could ever have financially. Now, what is the goal when you're calling back a lead or a prospect? Guys, what can you tell them? What's the goal here when you're calling back a lead or a prospect? And when I say calling back a lead or prospect, honestly, this should all be at a top priority for all of you guys. All of these people throughout the year that you haven't spoken to or that have decided to just put things off should be your first one of the first things that you do moving forward. What is the goal when we're calling back one of those leads?
Create urgency. Find out what their current problem is.
Mhm.
Set up a time for another call, an
Motivation
appointment.
and ask for the business.
It's about getting them engaged and determining what their motivation level is right now, right? Yeah, we want to build rapport, we want to set an appointment, but we want to figure out what's going on with that person, right? We want to find out what their timing is, what their motivation, and it's our job to kind of help them see the light, right? Why is it a good time to buy now? So guys, can anybody tell me just really quickly why it's a good time to buy right now?
You have more negotiation power. I was able to close a deal with my client paying nothing. They paid for everything.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say what AJ said, yeah.
There's a better time to buy right now because in the spring, there's gonna be more buyers and people with more buying power.
Yeah. And believe it or not, these people who have kind of taken themselves out of the market to buy, guys, they don't think that for a second that everybody understands the real estate market the same way that you do. Meaning their last interaction with the marketplace was one of horror. I can't get into a home. Prices are too high. It's craziness. I can't get what I want. The sellers are calling the shots. They don't know that it's the other way around right now. They don't know that they have that advantage. So it's up to you to have this conversation with them, right? So I want you guys to write this down, the benefits, because I'm going to give you some scripting that you can use with your clients, okay? I want you to write this down, that home ownership is recession proof. And if you can afford the payment, it really doesn't matter what the interest rate is. Right now, why? Why doesn't it matter right now what the interest rate is if you can afford it?
Because you can
it's going to
Finance
change.
capability.
refinance later.
Finance.
Because you date the rate, you marry the house, you divorce the rent, and you raise some equity, right?
Mhm.
We've all heard everybody say that.
Can you repeat that
MK?
again? Chad, can you repeat that again? What
Yes.
you just said?
Home
That was money.
ownership is recession proof. If you can afford the payment, it really doesn't matter what the interest rate is. We date the rate, marry the house, divorce the rent, raise some equity.
Which part divorce again?
You divorce the rate. She's
That's
kind of a
what- that's
bitch. Yeah.
Hey Chad,
Yes.
does it cost?
Actually, you
to,
divorced the rent.
Refinance?
Oh, divorce the rent. Sorry.
Yeah.
Date the rate, divorce the rent. Go ahead, Shova.
Does it cost to refinance when buyers do refinance?
Yes, typically it does, but when you have awesome lending partners, you can get really creative with that. Like MK right now is talking with his agents and saying, hey, listen, we'll get you into this house right now. And as soon as rates go down to a comfortable place that you want to be, we'll refinance you at no cost.
Oh,
And most of your lenders will be willing to do the same thing, right?
what does
They'll
it
at
cost
least
to
be
do
willing
that?
to waive their origination fee, right? And anything as far as fees and stuff, they can usually make up on the back end.
What's the usual, average cost of refinancing?
Probably
It
$3,000
de-
to $4,000.
Depends on if your lender's a shark or not. I used to charge 10 points, but MK is probably a little bit more generous.
Sounds right.
Gosh.
Yeah. 10 on the front, 5 on the back, FHA.
MK, correct me if I'm wrong real quick. So a lot of they're not homeowners and they're first time homeowners. I'm trying to convert them to be actually an investor, but a homeowner at the same time. So buy like a multiplex.
Yep.
Can't you use that investment loan now that you'd actually have to show income as long as the market rent value is matching your mortgage?
Yeah, so what I want you to focus on though is this is going to be a primary residence for that individual, that buyer, right? So they can buy with as little as 3.5% down FHA. And then those other units, so say you have a fourplex, they can use the other 3 units as income to offset that debt to income ratio, which is awesome. It's a huge house hack. So if you have any kind of person that, it's got to make sense though. If it's a family of 5, they're not going to move into one, unit, right? So, within reason. So let's just say it's great for first time home buyers. If they get in and they can buy 1 unit and they can rent out the other ones, it offsets that debt to income ratio for sure.
Well, for me, it'd
Yeah.
be like more of military people coming in. They use VA,
Absolutely.
so they put 0% down, and then they can rent those other units in for other people instead of living in a barracks.
So one standard, guys, that we've also got to implement is that urgency, right? And we keep talking about rates going down, all that good stuff. But one thing that we do know is that rates have been going up, right? We all know that. We've all seen that. And so the question that you have to ask your renters or your prospective home buyers is, have you decided that you definitely want to be a homeowner, whether that be now or in the future, right? And one of the reasons why we ask that question is why, right? It's the same reason why we ask that question when somebody's thinking about listing. Have you decided that you're definitely going to sell? It's not a matter of if, just a matter of timing, right? We do that to solidify certain things, to set ourselves up to create urgency, okay? And how you do that is, hey, Amanda, what would it look like? Have you decided, Amanda, that you definitely want to be a homeowner, that you don't want to rent for the rest of your life?
Yeah, absolutely. I hate my landlord.
Okay, so we've decided that you're definitely going to be a homeowner. Now, what would it look like, Amanda? I know that you're waiting for rates to go down. Rates have been going up. What would it look like, Amanda, if rates continued to go up? Because
I would
right now they are, right?
Worse house. Yeah, I would definitely have to buy a worse house after that.
Yeah, Amanda, so you could actually be taking more of a risk by waiting, and it could be 1% more every single month, right? And the last thing that you want to have happen, Amanda, is not be comfortable, is to wait, right? And wait to a point where homeownership is not obtainable for you, right? On the flip side, if rates eventually do go down, the great news is we can refinance you and make your payment more comfortable here in the next month, here in the next year, right? But the most important thing is, while you're paying a little bit more in your monthly payment, you're also going to be building equity. And at the end of the year, you're going to have a lot more in cash and equity than you did pay out extra in your monthly payment.
That's brilliant. Yeah, let's talk about that.
So, but you guys, how many of you guys have talked about that? How many of you guys have had those conversations with your buyers and asked them, hey, have you decided that you're definitely going to be a homeowner? Raise your voices.
That's such a
Absolutely.
great line. That's such a strong line. Have you decided, are you going to be a homeowner now or in the future? Like, yes,
Yeah.
of course, at some point, right?
Yeah.
Right,
That's great.
exactly. And you know, are you prepared to wait another 10-year cycle for the market to come back around? Okay. And if they say no, great. If they say yes, right, then do the math. MK, do you know how much homes have appreciated over the past 10 years?
Total, I don't.
Neither do I. Anybody have that information?
At
Is
least
it safe to
8%
say
a year.
quite
I
a
think it's
bit?
8%. Yeah, it's
Over
something
the
like
past 10 years, probably more than that.
No, at least 8% in total in the countrywide, but in our area, up to 15% a year.
wow.
in some
Yeah,
areas.
do the math, do the math on their monthly payment, right? Like how much they're paying more than they want to, like $200, whatever it is, $1,000, right? Multiply that by 10 years. And then show them exactly how much homes have appreciated over the past 10 years and see which one is greater. Because sometimes you have to do this, right? To make logical sense for people. Okay. We also know that sellers are offering lots of concessions now, right? And there's some tools that you can use to go out there and make things easier for your clients, okay? How many of you guys are familiar with Opendoor? Anybody know who Opendoor is?
Yes, I sold
It's
an
a-
Opendoor home.
Antoinette, tell me what Opendoor is.
Opendoor is actually they're trying to get in the real estate business, but what they do is they go out and they purchase homes, pay cash, and then they turn around and put it back on the market at a increased rate.
Yeah, who else did that? Zillow, right, guys? What do we know
Yeah.
about these companies right now?
They're about
They
to
ain't
lose
doing it
money.
no more.
They got pummeled, didn't they? They got pummeled, didn't they? And we talk a lot about your ability to create solutions for people is what's going to make you a lot of money in this market. So when we think about companies like Opendoor, we know that they're struggling. We know that they've got to offload all of this inventory right now. We've got to be able to put deals together. So if you know your clients are looking for certain homes, we know agents right now, okay, that are looking up all of those listings from Opendoor, from Zillow, and actually calling those listings and getting deals for their clients, right? Say it's listed at 500K, right? Calling those listings and saying, hey, would you be willing to take an offer at 400K? How many of you guys have tried that, honestly, with those investment companies who you know have to sell, right? And they might not sell at 400K, right? Maybe they take 450, maybe they take 425, right? Maybe that makes the difference in what your client qualified for before, but doesn't qualify for now. This is where we put deals together. So you're not limited to like just looking at certain price points like, well, I only qualify for 300 now. I qualified for 400, 450 before, and there's nothing for 350. There's nothing for 300, right? Make those phone calls and start asking those questions. Would you consider an offer at this price point? Are you guys out there in the field doing that right now on behalf of your clients?
Hey, Chad, I just did one
100%.
and they did just what you said. They wanted 315. No, they wanted 330, and I told her to offer them 275.
Yeah. And in some cases, you can go a little bit more drastic, right? And sometimes you want to go a little bit more drastic just to get their base number, right? What they're actually willing to consider. But these are all tools that you can use to help put your clients into homes. This is how we get creative to put deals together rather than just sending them MLS listings, right?
Chad, can I
Go
follow
ahead.
up on that? So
Sure.
one big thing, just what you guys were talking about, the past couple of years, we've all had a database, right? Our databases are our gold, right? How many people got discouraged and said, hey, you know what? I lost out on 5 offers. I'm not going to buy anymore. Those are the people that you need to call. And those people are like, I am not buying this year. I'm going to wait till the market relaxes a little bit. Here's where you show them right now. Yes, you wanted to wait till the rates come back down, but here's the value. You got outbid on 5 to 7 offers that we did before. You're going to offer lower. You're going to get all your closing costs paid for, and we're going to do a buy down, right? This is the time you go back through your whole database and you resurrect all those pre-approvals, because now we're going in December, January, where people are taking time off, right? You can go in there and now you have the driver's seat. This is the time. Sorry, Chad. That's all I want to say.
No,
Can I-
that's great. And so like one of the things that we know about buyers right now is a lot of them think that they're going to have to be sold a house that they don't want, right? Or at least also over the past year, that's what they've been dealing with, right? And getting into bidding wars. They end up having to settle for homes that they don't want, right? And so this is another conversation that you need to have, right? You don't have to buy a house that you don't want. 6 months ago, this was not the case. 6 months ago, you ended up having to make offers on homes that you didn't want, right? Now you can actually get what you want, which is great, right? We know that the houses that sold for $1 million 6 months ago are now going for 800, 900,000. Have you guys noticed that?
Yes.
True story.
Yep.
Very true
True
story.
story.
Go ahead, Taylor.
So we have to just start getting creative, and this is a great time to contact your lender, local credit unions, call them and see if they're offering what adjustable rates that they have. Some are offering 3 to 4%. MK, what do you got right now for adjustable rates?
Adjustable rates, well, we're going to be about 6%.
6%. Those aren't bad deals if you're not going to be in the property long. You know, you got a lot of options out there. Yes, Taylor.
I'm sorry. I just really want to interject because we're right on the point of this. MK made a really good point at the Mukilteo conference we had. There was like just a bell ringer for me, and it should be a bell ringer for everybody else. When everybody got buyer's fatigue 8-9 months ago, when we're losing, you're going in, there's 10 offers on the table. Think about your buyer, and if they have additional down, the 22 AD, and if they say, hey, I'm waiting for the rates to come down, you say, hey, check this out. That'd be great and all, but you're not in a financial position to have the additional down. So even if the rates do come down and we have the house and there's even one other offer, if you don't have the additional down and we're going over a little bit, then they're going to take the other offer. Besides competing, you don't have the additional down to compete, and so now is a really good time because there's no competition and you're getting lower than the listing price, and so it's basically the opposite direction. So I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to give you guys, right now there's almost zero risk of home prices going down long term. Would you guys agree with me on that? Historically, they've always gone up. Now they've dipped, but they've always rebounded. They've always gone back up. So if we're looking at a house 20 years ago, what would that property be doing now? Up or down?
Up.
4 times as
Okay.
much.
It's up.
How many of you guys wish that you bought a ton of properties 20 years ago? 100%, right? Do you think the conversion would be the same 20 years from now?
Probably.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah,
So I want to,
historically, yeah.
I want to give you guys some scripts right now that you can use with your internet leads, with your sign calls. And this is kind of the culture that I want to create. It's a really simple script. Are you guys ready for it? Because I want you to write it down. Okay.
I'm ready.
You guys have internet leads when you do your Facebook property boosts with your KV core, all of that good stuff. So say that you get an internet lead in and you're calling that person back. And this script is going to save your life and save your business. Okay. So Todd Talley, I'm just going to pretend that I got you as an internet lead inquiry on a property or a sign call. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, Todd. This is Chad Cooley with eXp Realty. I know that you were taking a look at the property over there on 123 Main Street. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, I'm just looking right now. That's all.
Okay, perfect. So you're definitely interested in buying a home. Todd, I've got some time tomorrow at 3 o'clock, or would 4 be better for you?
No, I'm just not in market right now. I'm just looking to see what's out there. I probably won't be ready right now. So
Okay, so I want to get into handling the objections in a minute, guys. But right now, I want to make this point of you should be meeting with all of these people. Okay, just that's it. Set the appointment, right? We've gotten in the bad habit as real estate agents, because the market has trained us to do this, to just fuck off every single person who inquires with us and send them to a database or a AI thing, right? Or put them on a drip campaign, right? They'll call me when they're interested. How many of you guys can afford to do that right now? And how many of you guys can say, honestly, that you don't have time to work with buyers anymore?
I don't have
Anybody?
time. Yeah.
Right. They're pretty darn valuable right now, aren't they? Okay.
Mhm.
So although your drip campaigns are great, all of these things are awesome for follow-up, it is in no way, shape, or form a replacement for your job. Okay. Otherwise, we can just hire a bunch of robots to handle the paperwork too. And what do we need you guys for? Right. So our job now is to make sure that anytime we get one of these leads, that we're going out there and engaging with people. Because realistically, all of the stuff that we're talking about, MK with his financial solutions, all of this advice that we're giving people means nothing over the phone. And why do you think that is? Because before you meet with people, you are just a telemarketer on the other end of the phone who may or may not be wearing pants for all they know. You know what I mean? Some of you guys aren't wearing pants right now. That's okay. I'm not judging. What I'm trying to say is you become an expert in the living room. You become a professional worthy of giving advice when they can see your professionalism, right? That's how you actually end up moving the needle, right? They'll consider it when you're talking to them on the phone. That's good information. Thank you for that. You become an expert and somebody who's able to give direction once you get in front of them, right? So the whole goal every single time we get a lead is, let me get in front of this person. Let me have a conversation where they're not stirring SpaghettiOs while they're talking to me. And I can actually sit down, dressed appropriately, and have a serious conversation and give them some professional advice, okay? And when we talk about what's going on in the market, what do we know? We just talked about this for a while, is that there's a lot of fear. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of like, I don't know what to do. And this is the exact time where they actually need a professional to give them some professional guidance, guys. And that comes in the living room. So out of the buyer leads that you guys have gotten over the past couple of months, how many of you guys try to set an appointment with them every single time?
Nobody wants to meet for me. Everybody else is just saying like they rather just get information through email or just send them some stuff, and when they're ready, they'll reach out to me, but they won't convert.
Let's role play that real quick, Todd. I'll role play that with you.
There you go.
All right,
Ring, ring.
Oh, hello. Am I
Hi,
calling
Todd.
you?
This
You
is
calling
Chad
me?
Cooley with, yeah, I guess I'm calling you. Do you want to call me?
No, go ahead, call me.
Okay, all right, because I can object for days.
Good.
I know you
Call
can.
me.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, Todd. This is Chad Cooley with EXP. I saw that you were looking at a property over there on Lake Street. Todd, are you interested in buying that property?
No, I'm just actually looking right now. That's all. I'm not interested.
Okay, good. So you're out there looking for houses, Todd. Are you thinking about purchasing a home? What made you want to make that search?
Well, I'm just looking for my grandson. He's actually looking to move out here, so I'm just looking right now. But that's it.
Oh, great. So your grandson is looking for a home. That's amazing that you're actually willing to take the time to look for him. Now, Todd, what's important to your grandson about this home that he's going to buy?
Just being close to his grandpa.
Okay. And has he decided that he's definitely going to make that move here?
No, he's the next probably like 3 to 6 months. We're some time down the line, just looking right
Okay.
now.
Okay. So he's got a time frame that he's working with. And Todd, obviously you care about your grandson, right? Because you're out there looking for homes for him. I think that's great. There's some huge advantages right now to purchasing properties now. Okay. And I know that he's thinking about waiting a couple of months, Todd. Now, I think we can both agree that when he does buy this house, you want it to be in the best financial position possible. And you obviously want him to get the best deal possible, right?
Yeah, but just these interest rates are just so high that we're just gonna wait for it to come down. So that's why I'm just like
Yeah.
looking what's on the market.
And most people think, Todd, that these interest rates that are being advertised are something that they're going to have to pay. The good news is, Todd, when you work with a professional, you can get very creative and make things make a lot more sense for you financially. So, Todd, here's what we can do. What is the name of your grandson?
His name is Jeff.
Jeff. And what's Jeff's last name? Same last name? Is it Tally?
No, it's Jeff Smith.
Jeff Smith, common
Yeah.
name. Lots of Jeff
Mhm.
Smiths out there in the world. He had creative parents, didn't he, Todd?
I did.
All right, Todd. And where does he live right now?
Oh, he live in Missouri.
Missouri. Perfect. And what's his telephone number?
I don't feel comfortable actually giving it out. I don't know if he would like that.
Yeah, Todd, I can tell you what, if he's out there looking for a home, especially in Washington State, Todd, I specialize in not only helping my clients find a beautiful home, but also making sure that they find a great deal on a new home. Now, if he's decided that he's going to be here in the next 3 to 6 months, I can give him a call, talk to him about what we've got available, and make sure that that transition is smooth for him. More importantly, that he's in a good position once he gets here. Todd, the last thing that you want to do is have him get here and have interest rates continue to go up and have him compete to buy a house and put him in a situation that you wouldn't want yourself to be in, right?
Yeah. I completely understand that, but right now he's just I don't know if he's going to even have a job because he's going to have to change jobs moving out here and stuff. So that might be a problem as well. So we're just looking right now.
So there's a lot of factors at play in this process, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And has he already found a job out here? He doesn't know if he's going to be able to find a job.
No, he hasn't found one yet. He's in the process of doing all that. Like I said, he has about 3 to 6 months. So probably around the 2 months mark left, he's going to be coming out here looking for a
And
job.
Todd, this is the exact reason why we need to have a conversation. There are tons of options that your son has where he might not have to wait if he doesn't want to. So Todd, before you make any decisions at all, let's do this. Let's you and your grandson get together via Zoom. Okay. We'll go over exactly what you guys are looking for, what your grandson is looking for. And at the end of the day, make sure that he's making the best financial decision for him, his family, and that move, which we can both agree is a big decision, right?
Right.
Okay. So what's the best email address where I can send that link to, Todd?
Gmail.com.
Okay. And what's your grandson's email?
Gmail.com.
Okay. Gmail.com. And what's the best number to reach him?
Again, I'd rather just call him myself and let him know and explain everything what's going on. And then when you send those links, we can hop on and we can talk that way.
Todd, the one thing that I can promise you is I'm not going to reach out and be aggressive with your grandson. I don't want to put him in a position where he has to make a decision now. Now, at the end of the day, if he's looking for a house, Todd, and we're going to make this meeting, we want to make sure that we've got all of the information possible so that we're all making the best decision. Okay. So Todd, if you're worried that I'm going to pressure him into doing something, that's definitely not the case. but I know that he's looking to move here, Todd. And I know that just from what you're telling me, that you're thinking that he might even have to have a job before he buys. And there could be a financial incentive, Todd, for him to look at some different options now. Okay. So if you give me that phone number, I'll reach out to him. Just let him know that we're going to have that meeting and we'll go over the best possible options that he's got right now. Okay.
555-555-555.
That sounds like a fake phone number, Todd. This is bullshit. No. All right. So
Hey,
kind of
no,
went
I
down
like
a
it.
weird road, and anytime I hear somebody's looking for somebody else, right, I want to get to that person, you know. And what I could have done is a little bit more prying into seeing if Todd's really lying to me and just saying that because he wants me off the phone, right? I could have done a better job that, but just assuming that somebody's looking for somebody else, like I want to have a conversation with that person, find out what they know about that person, leverage that information, get the contact information of the person who's the actual decision maker. So that way we're not playing the telephone game. Anybody want to give me some feedback there?
It was
Right.
great
Nobody?
that you removed the pressure of like, I'm not gonna telemarketer him and add a lot of pressure. I'm just here to provide help and a resource to him.
Yeah. And so one of the questions that I should have asked him is, what is your concern about giving his telephone number out, right? I don't want him to be harassed. I don't want to be whatever. And then I can remove that and ask for the telephone number again, right? All right.
So two things real
Go ahead.
quick about that. So for the ones like the internet lead's not always providing a phone number, so you only have the email. So if you're only having the email, how do you only can send
Find the
out
phone
to-
number, right? Find the phone number. You can find phone numbers with email addresses.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
Okay.
And then secondly,
Where do you
is,
find them, Chad?
I'll send some things. I'll put some things in the chat link after this or in the co-founders group.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
And then
but
secondly,
e-
so all the
But
internet
even if like go into our co-founders software group and do a search online for the email address. You do that, you'll find a Facebook, right? You find that, you can send them a direct message. You can audio call them. You can find their work telephone number. You got to be a little bit sleuthy sometimes. Go ahead, Todd.
secondly, when you put someone up on like a what is it called, like a squeeze page or a landing page, and like that's providing them to put their information in it. So it's like that's not getting pulled anywhere else but them putting that in the information in, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Because the reason why I'm asking is because like people actually, I get their information in my KV core and I would reach out to them, and like 5 people just yesterday was like, you people keep calling me. I'm just looking. I don't want to buy a house. I'm
Todd,
like, well, you put your
that's
information there.
normal. That's normal bullshit. You know what I mean? That's what you're going to get. And you have to understand that if they're putting their information into any kind of squeeze page or anything else, then they're doing that to 100 different people or 100 different sites. And that's why there's a sense of urgency to jump on these leads quickly, right? Because you're not the only hot chick at the party. You know what I mean? There's tons of people who are reaching out to them. So by the time you do reach out to them, if you're not reaching out to them quickly, they've gotten about 10 phone calls already, right? And then you get that attitude of, why are you calling me? I was just looking. Well, that I was just looking tells me that you're somebody I need to be talking to, right?
Yeah.
So how do you de-escalate that, right? I'm getting so many phone calls. Yeah, I know you're getting a lot of phone calls because there are a lot of agents out there looking to make deals with people who are looking to buy right now. So you've got a huge advantage. Tell me, what were you looking at properties for? What were you looking for in a home, right? And then rather than focus on answering questions and justifying why you're calling, right? Answer and then get right into what your agenda is, right? Get right into that scripting, if that makes sense. All right.
Hey, Chad, and just to throw in, it's interesting, if they're telling you, and I found this with buyers and seller, if they're getting a ton of phone calls, that means nobody's closed them yet either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like, I know that when I'll close an appointment, I'll tell them, hey, you're going to get 500 other calls. Don't answer your phone. And if they've trusted me with setting an appointment and why there's value, they'll trust that, you know what, this block number, the spam number, this area code, I don't know, like, hey, I'm gonna skip that because this agent that I trusted just told me it's gonna happen. So those are actually like really good flags and like, oh great, nobody's done a great job yet. They've just dialed you up and hung up when you said no. So it's also a really cool indicator too, man.
Right.
And Todd, if
The-
you're not on the Breakfast Club in the morning, you might want to join.
He's on there every morning like a soldier.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So a lot of you guys have old safe searches, right? How many of you guys have old safe searches from 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years
100%,
ago?
yeah,
Right?
for sure.
You've got a price point that you've set them up at, right? So if they haven't purchased yet, you know exactly what their limit is, right? You also know, again, that people are willing to negotiate. So how many of you guys have gone back through your old safe searches, right? You set them up for, they were looking, you set them up for 700K, right? How many of you guys are actually trying to put those deals together now?
Mm.
These are great excuses to reach out to your clients. Hey, I just heard a story in the
Absolutely.
office. An agent just got an offer accepted for 10% below asking price. I suggest that we bump your search up from 700K to 800K to give us more options. Let's jump on the phone together, go over your search, and just create an engaging conversation with them, okay? Go back and rebuild your safe searches and get them back in the game. This is a text or an email that you can send. Michelle, can you post that text or email?
Yeah, and I was just going to add to this really quick. And if you haven't, let's just, David, I'm looking at you. If you haven't using that testimonial, that story, that makes it real to them. And this is what's so cool about that chat is you guys see wins, challenges, another success story posted by all of your peers here. Use those stories, right? Another agent in my office, this just happened, right? This scenario just happened in this world with MK, right? With a client. This just happened with Amanda with a client. Use those real world scenarios as your story to them. Because you guys are seeing a lot of stuff shared to then bring that to them to make it real.
Yeah,
To
and
get them on.
I want to expand on that. So on any one of your searches, please make sure that you bump that up because we had a client that was just pigeonholed at essentially it was like 300,000. It's like there wasn't much they can get. We bumped that up to 350, right? And then there was a couple homes that were sitting on there that were on there for 90 days. We were able to get that down to 300,000. Now they got an even better house with a huge discount to get down there, but we wouldn't have gotten there because we didn't know that we could have gotten that swing on a $350,000 house, right? But all it takes is, John or Amanda or one of you guys calling me and say, hey, listen, this house has been sitting here. My client's pre-approved at this. We're willing to make an offer. Is this even something that we should even pursue? And, they're either going to tell you yes or no. If they say, hey, listen, we're open to all offers, that means the door's open for you guys to get in there and have an opportunity, right?
That
Or even
legitimately just happened to me last week. Yeah.
Me as
those
well.
those people who have been ghosting you too, and I know that you guys all have people who've been ghosting you, right? How many of you guys have those?
Yep.
Find
Me.
out what their price point is, right? And if it's 900,000, right? Call some $900,000 listings, call the listing agents and say, hey, I've got a serious qualified buyer here. Would you consider taking an offer at 800K? Right? Just to create the conversation. And if they say yes, we'd look at it, or in that range, right? Or maybe 825, you now have leverage to call that client back and say, hey, I just found a beautiful house listed at 900K. They'd be willing to take 800K for it, and leverage that to do what? Jason
Create an
Schaefer, I saw you
opportunity
mouth
to
it, but you
Get
were
the
muted.
appointment. Go
Set
meet
the
with them.
appointment.
Go
Yes.
meet with them.
Reestablish their motivation, reestablish their criteria, and resuscitate those people, okay? And everything, reconnect with those people, rekindle that motivation and get them going. I know that we're out of time here today, guys, but I do want to continue this conversation. Hopefully you guys saw value in it today, because we've got some other scripts and things like that we want to go through. But the whole point is, we can't do business the way that we were doing business before, right? We can't just rely on technology. We've got to get out in front of people. We've got to be aggressive and assertive, and we've got to be creative, more importantly. Michelle?
I wanted to just add to this, this is also why you guys are going to win. And this is also why you're the professional. It's not just having their searches on and running, and hopefully when they see something, they'll let us know. This is how you get creative. This is how you use strategies to put these deals together and to engage your people. So we probably have, I don't know, Cooley, what, 10 to 20 more specific examples, strategies, stuff we've been playing with. It probably will take us even a couple more sessions. Do you guys find this valuable and kind of going this deep
Very, very,
absolutely.
very.
Very valuable.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Great email to send to renters really quickly. I just want to put this out there. Michelle, if you could post this. Hey, great news. We have a great product that will actually pay your lease breaking fee, right? Because many people are concerned about that, right? Seller concession. You're giving them creative solutions. Again, it's just about creating that conversation, opening that window of opportunity and taking away their major objections, right? So whoever's renting right now, you should also be sending them that information. Hey, great news. I've actually got an incentive here where we can pay for your lease to be broken so that you can get into a home right now and stop paying somebody else's mortgage, you know? But we've got to get aggressive. We've got to get creative. More importantly, we've got to get in front of people, right? It's a people
Quick
business.
question. I have a quick
Yes.
question. At what point should we ask if they're pre-qualified or if they can show proof of funds? Is that one of the first things I should be asking, or should I conversate with them first?
That's such a great question. The last thing that you want to do is just open up with, are you pre-qualified, right? You want to get to know their situation. And if they're not pre-qualified, you know, ask them at the end of the call, hey, have you spoken to a lender yet? Right? That's the way that you want to ask that question, rather than being like, actually, are
Okay.
you pre-qualified yet? Do you have any money? Right?
Yeah.
Ask them the questions, go through the motions. Have you spoke? Do you know your options in terms of financing? Right? Trust me when I tell you, you want them working with somebody that you know, right? So one of the best things that you can ask is, do you know your options in terms of financing, right? No. Okay, great. I want to put you on with my lender right now. I'm going to call him and do a three-way conversation. He's going to ask you some questions, let you know what your options are, because who you work with in this market matters. You know what I mean? It matters with your payment. It matters with how much you're going to end up buying the house for. We want to make sure that you're in the best financial position possible. Ring, MK.
Hello, this is MK.
And I'm going to connect that call just like that.
I'm ready. Now, I got a
MK's
question
like
for you, and this is one thing that I'm a big advocate of, is do not be afraid to jump on a three-way call, because when people say, oh, call me back, like their chances are going down and down and down. Like, we need to get people out there in the ether. So you got them excited about buying a house. Great. My lender's available right now. I'm going to put them on three-way. Call me, text me, hey, are you available?
But don't just say my lender, right? You got to give them a little bit of fluff, right? I want you to speak to my lender. He's available right now. He is doing some amazingly creative things with people to help make this process a lot smoother and make it, you know, and there's a financial incentive to whatever, you know what I mean? But give them that carrot to why they want to talk to him, rather than just say, here's my lender, right? Who gives a shit about the lender? What does that mean for me? What's the value in me talking to that lender, right? He's one of the best lenders in Washington State, if not the best, right? Here's why you want to work with him. He gets great deals for his clients, lowest rates, blah, blah, blah. Make sure that you get a great payment. I'm going to get him on the phone right now, right?
Can I
make
jump
that
in here
call
real
there,
quick?
especially when you're dealing with internet leads. Go ahead.
So forgive me, I can't resist. I just have to. We're building relationships. So the question is, when do I ask that question? When I do not ask that question is driven by a principle. What's that principle? A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and pictures of silver. You will know when to ask them if they're pre-qualified when you're in that relationship and you're building it. If that's the principle that's driving it, you never have to worry about the timing of the question. The question will emerge. It will percolate to the top in the natural order and ask it. Then you don't have to be afraid. You can ask it with authority and then lead them to your lender and then say, oh, by the way, I trust this guy. He'll work hard for us. He's available 24/7. He's got the best programs. Let's do this. That's the answer.
It's well put. It's when you actually give a shit about the people that you're talking to, right? And you're not treating them as somebody just to be sold, but trying to understand exactly what their situation is. That, hey, are you pre-qualified? Have you spoken to any lenders? Is going to come up naturally, right? Because you're walking them through the process as a professional. That's what you do, right? So great feedback. Was that Mitchell?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Mitchell. I appreciate
I
that.
shouldn't be saying anything. I am listening, but
you sound like the
Speak
narrator.
out.
You sound like the narrator of a Disney movie, and I was more than happy to listen. That sounded great.
I got paid for that. I do voiceovers. Thank you.
Yeah.
MK, hopefully you can join us next week also, because we're going to stay on this buyer specific topic and going through these scenarios and doing live role plays like this. So guys, I hope all of you guys were taking notes. We will have the recording posted probably within the hour, if not 30 minutes. So for those of you, you can go back, rewatch. There was so much gold in that. So Cooley, thank you. MK, everyone else for chiming in.
I just want to say really quickly before we let him go, man, I'm so proud of so many people in this group, you know, and I wrote a Thanksgiving post about this, but watching a lot of you guys overcome some of the adversity that you guys have in your lives, in your personal lives, and pushing through despite everything going on around you is really inspiring me. It's inspiring Michelle to keep pushing forward and to do more to help you guys. We're coming up with some great plans for the new year where we're going to level everything up. And so I'm really glad that you guys are working on yourselves. Breakfast Club every single morning, 7:30. We're working on that holiday objection. The first of the month, the last day of the month, those are 2 big days. The market's shaky right now, right? Which means there's going to be a lot of expired listings. The number one objection that you're going to get is what? Anybody?
Christmas.
Over the next
After the
month.
holiday.
objection.
After the holidays.
Holidays.
And if you know how to respond to that, you know how to overcome that, and you actually put in the work, you will have the best month you've ever had in your life in real estate. Those 2 things, skill set, putting in the work, combined with nobody else actually working right now, that's a recipe for baking a pretty impressive cake. And just a newsflash, when you're talking about winding down your year has already begun, because everything that you do in the month of December is going to pay off in the month of January. This is a momentum business, right? You want to have a great 2023. Guess when that starts?
Yesterday.
Yes.
Right now.
Now.
Yesterday. I like
Now.
that.
Have a great day, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We love your face.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Chad.
Yes, man.